Today I'll be talking on a topic synergizing our inner self. I'd like to start the session with two questions. Have you ever felt progress in only one area of life, but felt stagnation in other areas of your life? The second question, what I'd like to ask you is, have you felt often that there's a tug of war between your aspirations and your actions? If it's a yes for both of this question, then I'm here to share my story and my learnings with you all. Just before I share the answer for these two questions, may I have your permission to share a bit about myself? I'm Rajkumar. Around 2001, I came across an advertisement talking about handwriting analysis. It was talking about getting to know a person's personality just from looking at their handwriting. This kind of intrigued me because that was a time when I actually flunked my second PUC exams, and I was lost, not knowing what to do in life. And being the eldest son in the household, it was kind of adding a little bit of pressure on me that I have my sister and my brothers and all there, but I didn't want to be a bad example for that. So having read about this ad, it kind of intrigued me again more and more. Okay, is there any way I can get help from this person who does this handwriting analysis? Because at that time, when I was looking for idols within my family, I realized that there's a bit of, there was actually a difference in values between me and my parents. So I was not sure where to look at. And this was a time when I came across this person named as Rafiullah Bey. He was my first mentor in my life. When I actually met him and I showed he asked to write a page of something. He gave some content to write on the page. I wrote close to 1.5 pages, and he looked at the handwriting and he kind of just actually kind of picking up the traits whatever I had in me. And then at the end, he actually counseled me. He counseled me, and then he suggested certain changes, which I actually implemented in my life, and I started to see changes. That's when I realized that this particular skill can actually help me to understand other people as well. So so I then enrolled to the course for handwriting analysis course. Then went into the course. What I realized was that
Still going on.
What I realized at the handwriting was that even though people may be having individual traits, they may not be actually expressing all those individual traits to the outside world. It's only when you stack all those individual traits, the cumulative of the traits, what comes out is a real personality which the person shows to the world. This actually kind of brought a paradigm shift in my mindset, because before that I was a person who was very blunt in giving my opinions to people. I was arrogant in terms of my interaction with the people, and I used to have a lot of anger, and I used to show it openly to the people. Once I learned this handwriting analysis, then I realized, okay, people may not be what they are showing in the outside world. There could be more than that. This brought a change in me, and this is the journey where my fascination of the human mind started. Okay, just before we continue, I like to kind of elaborate a bit on this title. It says synergizing our inner self. What does the word synergize mean? Synergize is basically it's more about kind of bringing all the components in a particular pace. So when the entire components work together as a system, you can achieve the result what you desire. in case of human beings, what happens is that like not all the components are kind of active at all the moment. There are certain personalities which are kind of hidden. There are certain personalities which the person may be having, but he may be hesitating to express, and due to various reasons, due to socio-economic reasons. So this also since I realized, after doing handwriting analysis, I realized that people need to synergize their abilities. Only when they synergize their abilities will they be able to succeed in life. Okay, next coming to the second part of the title, it says inner self. When you talk about inner self, I want to take a step back before I talk about inner self. If you look at the self, there are basically two components. One is outer self, that is the image what we are projecting to the outside world. This is more of a volatile image what we project to the world. And the second thing is the inner world, inner self. This is a self which we know, which we ourselves know. What is the truth about that self? And this is mostly not shown to the outside world. What happens is that like whenever we try to express, what happens is that like the expressions get morphed to match the society. It may not be always what we want to express. It gets morphed through this projected image, what we show to the outside world. Today I'll be talking more about the inner self, because that's a self which is more powerful and which needs to be taken care of. Now let's look what does this inner self consist of. Inner self basically consists of our conscious mind and our subconscious mind. The best thing it is explained in the next image what I'm going to share with you. If you look at this particular image, it talks about the conscious mind, which is only partial, just being visible to the outside world. And the subconscious mind is the majority of the thing which is hidden from the society. Sometimes it is hidden from ourselves also. Now, if you look at this image, there is a paradox which is kind of hidden in this particular image. The paradox is that the conscious mind has the patterns and processes that we are aware of. These are the processes which we are aware of and which we have certain control over. But when you look at the unconscious, this is a part which we ourselves may or may not be aware of, which comes only which we become aware only once in a while. And the amount of control what we can exert over the subconscious mind is kind of limited, because we still don't have the methodology to access the contents of our unconscious mind so that we can change it according to our needs. And this is the part where our fears, our suppressed anger, a lot of other things which are kind of hidden over there. And the amount of the influence what our unconscious exerts over our conscious mind is tremendous. You might have seen on the cigarette packets, it says smoking is injurious to health, but still people ignore it. Why do they ignore it? Aren't we beings of intellectual? Shouldn't our intellectuals stop from indulging self-harming habits? Why not we stop over there? Smoking cigarettes may be kind of I mean, for the individual who is not able to stop the smoking, for him, smoking may be a way of fulfilling a particular carving what he is having. Even though he sees this warning, he's not able to stop himself. Why is it? Because the subconscious mind is kind of exerting the pressure over his intellectual and his consciousness. That's the reason why he is not able to stop it. And herein lies the danger. The more we are unaware of the contents of our subconscious and unconscious mind, it's going to drive our life, and we may not be having any control over it. And herein comes the need to synergize our inner self. If you look at the habits and the expression that we keep on suppressing within ourselves, what happens is that it keeps on, we are actually pushing from our conscious mind to the subconscious mind. And the contents which goes to subconscious mind have tremendous power by the nature of the unconscious mind. So we need to be careful whatever we are putting inside, whatever the contents is there in our unconscious mind. And this is best explained in the next quote, or I'm going to show it to you. This is a quote by Carl Jung. He is one of the forefathers in psychology. He talks about until we make the unconscious conscious, it's going to direct our life, and we'll call it as fate. So how are we going to synergize our inner self? How are we going to take charge of the content whatever we having in unconscious mind? So I'm going to share a few aspects and a few steps now. First is acceptance. Acceptance of our present situation, where we are as of now, including all our failures, all our successes, all our so-called bad habits, everything. We just need to accept as who we are at this point in time. There's no blaming to be done, and there's no kind of criticizing ourselves. And when we're accepting ourselves, we need to forgive ourselves for the mistakes what we did in the past. And we need to forgive yourself in such a way that, look, whatever actions I took at the point in whatever actions and decision what I took in the past, I took it with the knowledge, the best of the knowledge what I had at that point in time. And then we need to forgive ourselves. See, I did the best what I could do at the point in time. Now I'm no more going to blame myself. Next comes review. We need to review our entire life as a spectator. And one caution is that while reviewing ourselves, we should stop criticizing ourselves. You just need to review yourself as a spectator and make points, and we need to look at how we can excel from now on. So we need to do our review from that particular standpoint, rather than as a victim of our situations. Then we need to plan ahead. the way we need to plan ahead is basically we need to review, while we are reviewing, we need to review all our routines, all our fixed routines, all our habits. And while making plan, we need to kind of uh, while planning, we need to basically uh, make sure that our life revolves around one or two fixed routines around which our life builds over. So that will actually bring certain kind of certainty and routine in our life. One of the biggest enemies of our human mind is the uncertainty. The moment we start encountering uncertainty, what happens is that our human mind gets confused and we kind of lose track over there. But when you have something very fixed and certain things in our life, what happens is that like there will be a certain degree of certainty in our human mind, inside our brain, and it will actually help us to build things around whatever we are facing. Next is executing the plan what you have created. While executing, we again need to ensure that we don't judge ourselves or we don't criticize ourselves. We need to kind of execute in a curious manner and try to understand uh, how we are moving forward. And we also need to kind of review our progress occasionally and periodically. And it's also critical to have accountability partner to whom we are actually kind of updating our progress, updating our milestone, whatever we achieved in life. Having an accountability partner will actually boost our morale because we will know, okay, there's somebody whom we can share our concerns. There's somebody who can guide us in what we are doing, and there's somebody who can help us bring a structure and will help us succeed in life. That's all, folks, what I have for now. Thank you for your time.